Bright sunny morning as we approach St. Maarten. It's Dutch Sint Maarten straight ahead of us here. We did a night passage over it, and it was good except for a squall that chased me down in the middle of the night, and I just hate that. That's the biggest problem about doing night passages, is that the squall activity is always there. We brought poor Dinghy along. Lots of guys in Antigua wanted him, and they asked if we were getting rid of him, and I said, yeah, we are, but we might need something when we get to St. Maarten. Well, there's serious money around here, there's no question about that. Just waiting on the bridge opening. I got here a little late, just barely missed the 9:30 bridge, so we're waiting around for the 11:30 bridge. Gonna be another 40 minutes. And yeah, we're back in St. Maarten. Probably the second most popular place on our, well, the BVIs are pretty far up there too.
There we are on the FKG dock. A couple of dogs right next to Lagoonies.
The dingoes.
Well, the boat went from being a complete crap hole to being fairly well put together. Finally kind of pulled it all together at the end. So this time it's somebody else up on the mast. We're getting ready to have FKG replace our standing rigging. So that's starting with the lower D1 shrouds. But thought we'd stop by the St. Maarten Yacht Club. It's an old haunt. Really like it. Watch the boats go by. So Lagoonies here in Coal Bay, which is part of Simpson Bay Marine Lagoon complex. Mostly caters to the French crowd a little bit, but they've got great food, and the service is usually passable. And it's the only location over here near kind of a lot of the like Budget Marine and Island Water World and all the places that you're going to get work done. So yeah, it works well. We're pretty happy here, and food was great tonight. So. And live music, which we like too. We're going over to the Yamaha and AB rib dealer to see about our new rib, our new replacement for Dinghy Ed, and we'll see what happens.
Have to think up a new name. Made it to the Yamaha dealer. Hope one of these is ours.
Yeah, I'm Eric. Yeah.
How are you? Nice to meet you.
I'm Wendy. Nice to meet you.
That the manufacturers have the engineers have a tough time figuring out what weight engine is going to be on these dinghies and what kind of horsepower they're going to have. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that is all depends on the maximum persons you would have on it and to the horsepower. That's why they say recommended 15 or maximum 25. But with AB, how they recommend their horsepowers is all to the weight that they recommend and the amount of persons on the boat. So like if you put a 25 horsepower two-stroke, right, you got a lot more top speed with the engine. Like you say, the 25 will give you the power up to 30, four-stroke or what. But then with the four-stroke engine, you'll get more torque. But it's all with your prop as well. So we have a pre-delivery inspection. So before we deliver a boat or engine to a customer, we make sure you have the right prop to what you do. So if you're a cruiser or you are, your family, we ask you how much people you carry on the rib occasionally, and then we will say, okay, then you would need this size prop to this prop. So then you would have the right amount of power to get to the boat moving perfectly on plane.
Yeah, because I mean, what's going on is in Europe and in the United States, you just can't buy new two-stroke engines anymore. They're not being sold. But you can. But in the Caribbean, you can't. Just so that our viewers know that this is how it is. And the discussion that we're having actually has to do with the weight of the engine itself is almost double for a four-stroke what it is with a two-stroke. So two-stroke has so much more power to weight ratio. But like he says, it's a matter of like the two-strokes get their power at really the higher RPMs. Whereas the four-strokes are more torquey and tend to be can grunt it out at low RPM. Yeah. And that you get maybe a little less prop cavitation when you really get on it fast. But still, I think that I noticed when we bought our four-stroke Suzuki engine that it had so much more weight in the back of the boat, and it was fine once it was up on plane, but it was just a little bit more difficult, quite a bit more difficult to get up on plane. And it didn't help that our dinghy would fill up with water. The bottom of there's two shells on the bottom of the dinghy.
Double floor. Yeah,
there's a double floor, and there was a leak that would allow water to incrementally fill up. And when it got to a certain point, it was so heavy. I mean, you imagine like a fish tank's worth of water in there, and it would become very difficult to get up on plane. And so that's a problem we're trying to correct with a new dinghy.
Understand.
Just to let our viewers know, Outdoor World gave us a discount on the rib, but it wasn't like we're getting something for free. In fact, it was really more like a sale price off of retail. And we're not. I think we're giving an honest representation of what we're getting here, and we ourselves chose AB as the closest thing probably to what we have now in terms of construction and the bottom shape of the dinghy, because what I notice happening a lot with dinghies is that when people are on plane out like choppy conditions, right. A lot of these lighter weight dinghies, they just slam from wave to wave, and you see the people practically bouncing out, and you definitely know that their spines are getting compressed, and so having a little bit heavier dinghy is not such a bad thing. Sometimes it'll smooth things out, but you also need to be able to get it up on plane and be able to carry passengers as well. And that was always the problem that we had, is if we had more than Wendy and I, we could not get that boat up on plane. We're going to do some testing this week to see.
We look forward to testing and make sure that you guys are happy.
Terrific. Well, thank you. Thank you, Dylan.
You're welcome.
We're getting 2 dinghies for the price of one?
Yes.
Sweet!
Okay, so that's your seat as well. Yeah, no, that's going to be clean. I told you that I
Yeah.
So have a look underneath, but it should be, we never get a problem with that.
Yeah. Look, it holds air.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Getting washed, clean, everything before you get it, of course.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, I like the high floor, or the high...
Transom, yeah.
Very excited about that. Oh, it's so nice.
Oh yeah, it's got its own little pump and everything, and
Oh, excellent. There's the...
feels solid. What you think, Wen?
Oh, it looks gorgeous. Oh, it's a high pressure pump, which I have, so that's great.
They give you one, so.
Yeah, but we have the one for the paddle boards.
Yeah. Here's our seat.
Oh, it looks beautiful. I'm so excited.
Aluminum seat, which is nice.
Yeah.
And this is the Navigo 10 VS, is that right?
Yeah, correct, yeah.
Yep. So it's a fiberglass rib. It's not the aluminum version. They do make an aluminum version if you want. I was just telling Eric I'm impressed by the cleanliness of their shop and their showroom. I mean, it's stuff gets, you don't lose tools as easily when they're organized, and yeah, it's great. This is really nice setup. Well, there's Dinghy going off to a new home. Oh, there's a lot of sentimental attachment here.
Guys at FKG are kicking butt doing our rigging. And then we've got a brand new dinghy over here in the water, apparently. Just coming to see it. Hello, guy. Don't go disappearing on us. Get you tied up.
Yeah, so what's going on is see it's dripping out there. The bottom of this, I'm hoping that housing itself isn't cracked. But we're gonna find out here soon enough. Yeah, the fun never ends. This is a little drain plug for our filter for the dinghy. And I think that the O-ring that was on there is gone. So I'm gonna replace it and see if that stops the leak. Nope, not working, still leaking. I'm gonna try to connect these two hoses together and bypass it. I'm tired of dealing with crap right now.
Eric and Dylan from Outdoor World are going to let us try out a new Yamaha engine on our new AB RIB. Very excited about it.
Okay, so guys, what we got here today is a Yamaha 25 horsepower 4-stroke. A model name is a 25 GMHS. This engine is soulless. So you see right here on the side where you have this little number and you have the soulless sign. So this engine you would see on a lot of rescue boats, lifeboats and stuff like that. Okay. Here we got our lanyard. So we just hook it up in the kill switch. I advise a lot of people to hook it onto your belt, you know, just for safety. If anything happens, it always can come out and the engine will stop. All right. A good bit of features on this 25 horsepower, right, is right here. This is your shifter.
Oh, cool.
Forward, neutral, and reverse. On some 2-stroke engines, you would have to lean over to the other side. So this gives you a big advantage. Some other 4-strokes here, it's in the front. Okay. This right here, this tightens your throttle. So if you tighten it up, you can notice it's harder to turn your throttle, and then you can just loosen it up. This is also good for safety. So when you get on the boat, you don't mistakenly over throttle and you lose control. Okay. But I always recommend people to get a water separator. Yamaha sells a really nice water separator that can fit right here on the side of the boat.
Most of the features that he describes are there on the Suzuki as well. Although they are, it's not a Solus rated engine, and that's kind of actually probably a nice feature. It just basically says it's like, you know, really rated for heavy reliability.
And right here in the front, this is the steering. So this will adjust, tighten your steering and slacken your steering. Okay?
Okay.
Yep.
It's always a flush your engine.
Oh, nice.
Okay?
So it's up high. Yeah.
Correct. So you just hook up a garden hose right here. If you have a freshwater line on the boat, you hook up a garden hose here, flush your engine for like 3 minutes. Perfect. All right? That stops all the salt buildup inside your engine, so you won't have to get any barnacle buster within 3 years or so to see the engine pee again.
Nice easy pull.
Easy pull, yeah.
Yes, you got to keep the engine in neutral while starting. If you have problems starting the engine in the morning, just double check your gear shifter to make sure it's not in a forward or reverse.
Well, I can tell you from ours that if you're in gear and you try to pull that thing, it's not moving anywhere. You can tell right away.
As we are here drifting in the middle of the Simpson Bay Lagoon, I just want to give you a few options and features of the AB10 VS. So this model is fiberglass hull. It's a double floor, and a really good feature about the AB ribs is that you can store a 21 liter, let's say about 6-gallon tank in the front, but then the fuel line runs all the way to the back, comes out on the side here.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So there you would not have your fuel line all about the floor while you're trying to, you know, drive your boat, your rib. And also there's a little gas vent right here in the front.
Ah.
So it's all will be ventilated. The AB ribs, they come with 10-year warranty on the Orca A820 Hypalon.
Okay.
All right. So you get 10 years warranty on that. So no matter where you are in the world and there's any factory defect to your AB rib, you can go there and file your warranty. Having a fiberglass rib, it's really easy to maintain than having aluminum. It's a good feature on that.
We chose the fiberglass version ourselves because I actually wanted a slightly heavier rib. The real benefit of the aluminum ribs is that they're very, very light, and because of that, oftentimes when I'm watching people go through the lagoon in choppy water, they're bouncing around a lot, and it's great if you've got davits with limited lifting load, safe working loads. But I prefer something maybe a tad heavier. This is still about 3/4 of the weight of our previous dinghy, and so we're dropping down quite a bit. It's one of the reasons why we're able to get up on plane. The old dinghy just really wasn't set up for planing with a lot of people on board. But I would say it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. The other thing is that the aluminum rib was rated for a 5 horsepower less of engine. So we were going to be kind of right at the limit on the aluminum with our 20 horsepower. They did rate it for I think it was like 5 to 20 horsepower or something like that. But they do give ratings on the dinghies about what the recommended engines are, and you don't want to overdo that. I do see people with like 40 horsepower outboards on something like this, and it's just like the thing's sinking in the back. It's not it's not doing you any good. Nice easy pull.
And the good thing is, right, you see right here, you got on the front there's 2 lights. So it's like oil pressure lights. You see the light comes on, then you know your oil pressure is low. So then that's a good sign to do your first service.
And if it throws a code, it'll probably be flashing or doing something else. If
Correct.
you read the manual, it'll tell you what the various codes mean. Sometimes ours just was letting us know that we had gotten to the first service interval and needed to do an oil change. That's the danger. I mean, if you really lose oil pressure in something like this, it's going to destroy itself in a minute.
He's like a kid in the candy store.
I'm telling you, boys and the toys.
Exactly.
Nice and easy. Good job, Captain.